Recording in progress.
Hello! Mabuhay! This is Teacher Lourdes, and this is your course, Research 2, Project Development. Our lesson 4 is Sampling and Sample Size. Our objectives are describe sampling strategies used in quantitative and qualitative research, compute sample size for quantitative studies using appropriate formula, and link sampling decisions to research goals and design. A company produces 5,000 electrical extension cords per week. The quality control officer wants to check if the cords meet safety standards. Should they test all 5,000 cords? What happens if they test only 5 cords? What if they test 1,000 cords? How many should they test? How should they choose which cords to test? You can answer these questions in the comment section below. Now let's have the lesson proper. Let's have the key concepts. Population versus sample. When you say population, it means the entire group of interest. For example, if your study is about developing a device or a system, the population is the entire group of the interested respondents for your study. And when you say sample, this is the subset of the population. In your study, you will not have the entire population, but you will only get a number which corresponds to the sample, which are giving you your answers to your statement of the problem. And then sampling. Sampling is the process of selecting participants. In population, for example, in BSIT research, the population may refer to all machines in a tech factory, all the welders in a company, or all bamboo fiber uniforms produced this year. Another example is all BSIT students using laboratory equipment. For example, you are studying the durability of bamboo fiber uniforms. Your population may be all the BSIT students using the uniform. Let's now discuss sample. Sample is the subset selected from the population. For example, you may select 240 students to test uniform durability after the 3 months of use. Why is sampling important in research? For example, in industrial and technical research, testing all products is costly. Inspecting all machines may stop production. Surveying all workers takes time. And material testing may destroy the sample. Thus, sampling saves time, resources, cost, and operational efficiency. What are the sampling strategies? In quantitative sampling, which is used for testing and measurement, it is used when measuring efficiency, testing product durability, evaluating safety compliance, and surveying satisfaction levels. Let's discuss the first one. The first one is simple random sampling, where every member has equal chance. For example, you want to test the tensile strength of bamboo fiber fabric from 1,000 produced rolls. You will assign numbers to each roll and you will randomly select 100 rolls. Why is this strong? Because this simple random sampling reduces bias and it is good for statistical testing and it supports generalization. Now let's have the second one. It's called systematic sampling. You will select every case item. For example, the formula used is K equals N, or the total number, divided by N, the samples. For example, factory produces 2,000 metal bolts. You need 200 samples. So using the formula, K equals 2,000 divided by 200, and this is equal to 10. So in systematic sampling, you will test every 10th bolt. So why is this useful in BSIT? Because it is practical in assembly lines, and it uses easy implementation in production. So this is how you make systematic sampling. Now let's have stratified sampling. When you use this sampling, you will divide the population into groups. For example, in BSIT, you are evaluating laboratory safety compliance among students. You will have the groups automotive technology, electrical technology, electronics technology, and food technology. You will sample proportionally from each group. So all of these groups or classes, you will get samples from each group. So why is this important? This will ensure that all specializations are represented. So that's how you use stratified sampling from the word strategy. Now let's have the cluster sampling. Cluster sampling is used when population is geographically separated. So for example, you want to assess machine maintenance practices in 10 partner industries. So instead of sampling workers individually, you will randomly select 3 companies and survey all the technicians there. So now let's get qualitative sampling in industrial technology. So qualitative sampling is used when you are studying about exploring the experiences or understanding the workplace challenges, or you are studying technology adoption. So this is qualitative sampling. So we already discussed about the difference between quantitative and qualitative. So when you say qualitative, you focus more on the experiences and the challenges, and you focus on the words. While quantitative focus more on numbers. So let's have the purposive sampling. So when you say purposive sampling, you will select participants with specific characteristics. For example, you will study about the experiences of welders using new automated welding machines. You will choose welders who have used the machine for at least 6 months. So this is about the experiences. Next is snowball sampling. Snowball sampling is useful for specialized technicians, rare technical expertise. For example, experts in bamboo fiber textile processing. So one expert will refer you to another. That's why it's called snowball sampling, because after interviewing one respondent or one expert, this expert will refer you to another expert. So that's how you uh, practice snowball sampling. Next one is theoretical sampling. This is used in grounded jury. For example, you interview technicians about machine breakdown causes, or you will research about the emerging data that suggests lack of preventive maintenance. Or you then purposely sample maintenance supervisors. Okay? So, theoretical sampling is used in grounded jury. Okay? So, next one, let's discuss about sample size, or the computation for quantitative research. So, in BSIT research, sample size affects the reliability of material testing, the accuracy of survey findings, and the confidence in performance evaluation. So, the first one is Slovine's formula. This is common in undergraduate research. The formula is small letter n equals n, which is the population, divided by 1 plus n times e squared, where n is the population and e is the margin of error, which is typically 0.05. So let's have example. The study is titled Effectiveness of a New Lubricant in Reducing Machine Friction. So let's say the population is 800 machines in partner factories. So the margin of error is 5%. So let's compute. N equals 800, the N, divided by 1 plus 800 times 0.05 squared. So, following the formula, N equals 800 divided by 1 plus 800 times 0.0025. So we have N equals 800 divided by 1 plus 2. So our N is 800 divided by 3. And the N is equal to 266.67. And having the final answer, we round it off. We have 267 machines. Okay? Now let's discuss Cochrane's formula. This is used for large industrial populations. It is used when the population is very large and you are conducting large-scale surveys. So the formula used is this, where n equals z squared p times 1 minus p divided by e squared. For example, you are surveying customer satisfaction of 10,000 product users, having the Z equals 1.96, the P equals 0.5, and the E is equal to 0.05. So, the answer is 384.16 or 385 respondents. So this is how you use Cochrane's formula. Now let's have the sample size in qualitative research. There is no formula. Instead, you will base on data saturation and when there is no new themes that appear. So the typical size, for example, in case study, you will have 5 to 10 technicians, for example. When you have phenomenology, you have 6 to 5 industry workers. And when you use the grounded jury, you will have 20 to 30 participants. For example, in the study titled Live Experiences of BSIT Students Using Bamboo Fiber Uniforms in Laboratory Settings, you will stop interviewing at 12 participants when there is no new feedback. So that's how you use qualitative samples in qualitative research. So now, let's link sampling to research goals. So, for example, the research goal is test the material strength, and for example, your research is bamboo fiber tensile test. The best sampling method to be used is the random sampling. Another, when you want to measure student satisfaction and about lab equipment survey. So your best sampling method to be used is stratified sampling. Another one is explore technician challenges. The example is machine maintenance study. And the best sampling method to use is purposive sampling. Next is develop safety improvement model. And its example, industry accident analysis. So you will use theoretical sampling method. And another one, you will inspect mass production. And for example, you are quality testing the bolts and you will use the systematic sampling method. So these are some examples of linking the sampling to the research goals. Okay? So let's have the guided practice. For example, in your study titled Durability of Bamboo Fiber Protective Aprons in Welding Laboratories, and you have 450 BSIT welding students, using the 5% margin of error, you will compute using the Slovene's formula. So let's have the example. So N equals the total number 450 divided by 1 plus 450 times 0.025. This is the margin of error squared. So we have N equals 450 divided by 1 equal plus 1.125. So your N equals 450 divided by 2.125. So your N is equal to 211.76. Okay, so rounding it up, we have 212 students. So that's how you compute using Slovene's formula. So for your student activity, you will answer these questions by identifying which is the best sampling method used for this kind of study. Each number will have 2 points because this is a total of 10 points. So answer this in a 1/2 sheet of paper. So number one, sampling used in assembly line inspection, sampling for exploring technicians' experiences, and the formula for known population, and four, sampling ensuring representation of all specializations. And number five, basis for sample size in qualitative research. So answer this in a piece of paper. For the part B, you will compute and you will show the complete solution. The problem is a factory produces 1,200 safety helmets and you want to test the durability. The margin of error is 5%. So you will compute the sample size. So, and also you will answer these questions. Each question is worth 10 points. So what happens if you undersample in product testing? Why is purposive sampling better than random in experience-based research? How does wrong sampling affect industrial safety decisions? So these are my references. Thank you so much to these references. And thank you also to Zoom.com, ChatGPT, and Canva.com. So this is your Teacher Lourdes, saying mabuhay.